A good late afternoon or perhaps early evening to you, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sage and you're watching 𝐊𝐿𝐴N TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. There's no better way to wind down the day than with today's market close commentary, so let's dive straight in. And the Australian shares closed higher on Tuesday, led by gains in blue chip miners and banks. The equity market witnessed a surge in buying today despite a rise in COVID-19 cases as investors responded to stock-specific developments. The S&P ASX 200 rose by 0.50%, and earlier today the index opened higher and gained as much as 0.7% to hit a fresh high, setting a new 100-day high. The strong rally in the blue chip stocks such as BHP, Rio Tinto, BlueScope Steel and Mineral Resources also supported the market's gains. And among the individual stocks, steel manufacturer BlueScope Steel was the top percentage gainer on the ASX, rising 6.6%. On the flip side, the dairy nutritional firm A2 Milk Company was the top loser on the ASX, falling 6.25%. And next, in our segment, let's see how the sectoral indices performed today. The market breadth indicating the market's overall strength was mixed, with 7 of the 11 sectoral indices ending in green, and the materials sector was the best performers, with over 1.6% gains, followed by energy, which rose 1.3%. Among others, AREIT, financials, telecom and industrials ended with marginal gains. Meanwhile, the information technology sector emerged as the worst performer, with 1% loss, and healthcare, consumer staples and consumer discretionary sectors also ended in the red zone. In the technology space, software firm Nuix was the top loser, followed by buy now, pay later firms Afterpay and Zip. In the banking sector, all the Australian Big Four lenders, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Australia New Zealand Banking Group, Westpac Banking Corporation and National Australia Bank ended in the green zone. Moving on now to the energy space, the sectoral leader Woodside Petroleum, Beach Energy, Santos all closed higher, tracking a rise in the crude oil prices. And now, before we look at the shares that are in the news today, it's time for a short break.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
sectoral coverage or industry news,
we cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
with 𝐊𝐿𝐴N TV.
Welcome back, viewers. Sage here. You're watching 𝐊𝐴N TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. And in this segment, we'll be shifting our focus towards the stocks that created a buzz today. Firstly, shares of Electro-Optic Systems dropped as much as 7.7% following the resignation of its chairman, Fred Bart. And Bart had been holding the post since its listing in 2002 and has overseen tremendous growth and success of the company. The defence and space technology firm said Bart will step down effective immediately, and the company has appointed Peter Leahy AC to the chair role, and a global executive search firm has been appointed to conduct the search for a replacement director. And let us now look at acquisition news. Gold miner �ɣ𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Mining has announced they're to acquire a 100% stake in Finland-based Freeport Cobalt for $160 million. The company has signed a stock purchase agreement to buy all the shares of Freeport Cobalt, Oy, and 4 affiliated entities from Cobalt Chemicals Holdings. The acquisition is expected to transform �ɣ𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 into a global, vertically integrated cobalt and nickel company led by a highly experienced management team. And post-acquisition, �ɣ𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 will be diversified across multiple products and value chain segments with significant relevance to leading cobalt producers and end users. And moving on now to the next acquisition news, shares of real estate investment trust company Dexus were trading flat with marginal losses. The company said in an ASX update that it's on track to acquire APN property in a $320 million Australian dollar deal. The schemes remain subject to certain conditions, including approval by the Supreme Court of Victoria. And in a recent development, Dexus's acquisition bid has been passed by the APN in a recent meeting held by the APN Property Group. And now we'll take a look at the next company in the news today. The share price of Odera rose nearly 5% after the technology company reported strong earnings in the June quarter. The company engaged in the development of a hearing aid reported a 56% year-on-year rise in revenue, and Australian audiology clinic sales grew 82% in this period, helped by a strong increase in unit per clinic sales. At the end of the June quarter, Australian audiology clinic numbers increased to 725, an increase of 13 clinics for the quarter. And the next company to make the news with strong earnings in today's shares of online furniture retailer Temple & Webster Group rallied as much as 15%. The company posted an 85% rise in revenue for the full financial year ending 30th June 2021. The number of active customers surged 62%, while revenue per active customer increased 12% as compared to last year. The retailer ended the year with a cash balance of 97.5 million Australian dollars. Let's move on to the next. The share price of steelmaker BlueScope Steel spiked 5.7% to hit a 52-week high of $24.27 Australian on strong earnings guidance. The company expects its underlying earnings before interest and tax to be around 1.72 billion Australian dollars in the financial year 2021. And as per the company, US Midwest benchmark HRC steel prices continue to rise and positively impacted realised spreads at North Star and the North America coated business. It also experienced stronger demand and realised spreads in Australia and New Zealand. And now, before we look at the shares that are in the news today, it's time for a short break.
Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
Where the property market is headed next.
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly.
Apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements
With 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV.
Hi, welcome back viewers. Sage here. You're watching 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. We're discussing shares that created a buzz today. And the share price of Rio Tinto climbed 2.54% to touch a record high of $133.42 Australian after the company lowered its Canadian aluminium production. The world's leading miner has taken this decision after it failed to agree on a new collective labour agreement with the local union. The production from the BC Works smelter in Kitimat, Canada will fall to just 35% of its 432,000 tonne annual capacity, Rio said in a statement. Now, the next share to make the list today is the mining and construction services provider NRW Holdings, who saw its shares fall as much as 2.8%, down to $1.73 Australian. And earlier today, the shares opened higher and gained over 1% on securing 2 contracts. In an exchange filing, the company said it has bagged 2 contracts with a combined contract value of around 90 million Australian dollars. NRW Holdings has been awarded a Stage 3 expansion works contract at the Namuldi Waste Fine Storage Facility, and additionally it has secured a contract for the delivery of a 34 megawatt solar photovoltaic system for the miner Rio Tinto at the Gudai mine in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. And the next company making the news also is shares of the healthcare firm Japara Healthcare rallied 18.96% to hit a 52-week high of $1.38 Australian after its board backed a takeover bid by Calvary. The company said it has entered into a deed with Little Company of Mary Healthcare, also known as Calvary, for the acquisition of issued shares in Japara. And the board of the private sector residential aged care operator has unanimously recommended the takeover. Japara shareholders will receive $1.40 Australian cash per share under the scheme. And moving on to the next company, shares of COG Financial Services rose over 2% after the company reported strong performance in the June quarter. The company also delivered a record-breaking performance for the full year, and the fourth quarter net profit after tax more than doubled to 5.4 million Australian dollars, driven by strong performance in its finance, broker and aggregation segment. And we'll be right back after this short break. Property by 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest slowdown in the property market, tune in on 𝐊𝐴LKINE TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with 𝐊𝐴LKINE. Thanks for joining us for the last trade by 𝐊𝐴LKINE TV. I'm your host, Sage. And we are just sharing with you the stocks that made the news today. Moving along to the next company, shares of online lifestyle and home products retailer MyDeal.com rose after it provided a business update for June quarter. The company recorded gross sales in the fourth quarter of this year and is up 12.4% compared to the same period last year. Then your gross sales for the full year surged 111%. And the last ASX listed company on our list today is Oil Search. The oil and gas company has reported its second quarter results for the period ending 30th June 2021. The second quarter operating revenue is up 21.5% from the first quarter of 2021, and oil production from operated fields is up 4.6% from the performance of the Moran field. Oil Search has maintained its production and capex guidance for the financial year. And now, before we look at the Asian market and the latest updates from the cryptocurrency space, it's time for a short break.
Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
Where the property market is headed next.
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly.
Apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements
With 𝐊𝐴LKINE TV.
Welcome back, viewers. Sage here, and you're watching 𝐊𝐴LKINE TV live from Sydney. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. And now let's focus the lens on the Asian market performance. The Asian markets were trading mostly higher, barring Hong Kong's Hang Seng, as investors turned cautious ahead of the US Federal Reserve meeting. While no policy changes are expected in Wednesday's meeting, investors will keep an eye on the tapering discussions that started in June. Japan's Nikkei extended its rally for the second day and was trading 0.6% higher. China's Shanghai Composite was also up 0.15%, and in a similar trend, South Korea's Kospi gained 0.70%, while the Straits Times in Singapore traded higher by 0.5%. India's BSE Sensex was also up 0.3%. Bucking the trend, however, Hong Kong's Hang Seng remained under pressure for the second day, falling over 1% amid the selling across tech and education stocks. And shares of Hong Kong-listed Chinese tech and education firms were under stress as Chinese authorities stepped up restrictions on the sectors. In the overnight trade on Monday, the US stock ended at a record high in choppy trades as caution prevailed in the market ahead of the Fed's policy meeting, and the Dow Jones rose 0.24%, while the S&P 500 added 0.24%. The tech-savvy Nasdaq Composite ended almost flat with marginal gains. In the last segment of this show, let's have a quick look on the crypto market performance. And the cryptocurrency market witnessed a sell-off during the Asian trading hours on Tuesday, with major digital currencies such as Bitcoin, Ether and Dogecoin flashing in the red. On Monday, the digital coins witnessed a strong rally amid a report that the e-commerce giant Amazon may allow users to pay in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was trading down 3%. The world's largest cryptocurrency had briefly surpassed the 40,000 US level level on Monday, according to Amazon speculations. And meanwhile, Ethereum, the world's second largest crypto, was down 6%, while XRP dropped 5.6%, and meme-based currency Dogecoin was down 11%. Other digital currencies such as Cardano and Litecoin also traded in the red zone. And that's all for now in the last trade. And with our existing operations in Australia, New Zealand, UK and Canada, 𝐊𝐴 Media has launched its operations in the US markets. And every day in our first show, the Global Market Roundup, you can get the latest and most important news of the US, European and Asia Pacific markets. So on that note, I shall see you tomorrow as close as possible to 10:30 a.m. live from Sydney. Sage signing off.